Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and today we are talking about how you can't love in a vacuum. The title might be kind of confusing to some, but essentially, I'm talking about the difference between sort of obsession and actual love, and like actual genuine, compassionate, sometimes unconditional, sometimes conditional love. And I think I think about this in several different ways, and I'm curious to know your thoughts on this as well. But we have all been obsessed with something or somebody before. I think I'm pretty sure. Um, Whether it was a movie that was just sort of paradigm shifting for you, or a hobby, or a specific interest, or it could have been anything really, and or a person. And you kind of become so infatuated or obsessed and intrigued by something. And I think I'm going to use that to relate to loving in a vacuum and how that's not really a thing. It's not possible. So we are going to tie it back to to my love of a specific hobby. So we're going to say archery. I'm really obsessed with archery. I watch archery videos all the time. I take my bow out all the time to do practice. I'm so interested in sort of the emerging technology, all of this stuff. And I've been like that for a long time. So my love of archery is something that is, very special. It means a lot to me. I'm constantly obsessed over different aspects of it and different things, draw strength, different kinds of arrows, notching, fletching, just everything. Everything about archery is just, I don't know, it just gets me going and I'm excited about it and I love it. This tends to happen with us when we become sort of infatuated or obsessed with a person. And I don't know about you, but when I fall for somebody, it's a little bit embarrassing. It's a little bit intense, to say the least. And I don't know that it ever truly goes away. Might be awkward for some to hear, but yeah, I don't really know if I've ever stopped loving somebody that I've just loved. I think I'm just very much an unconditional love kind of person. But what I mean when I say you cannot love in a vacuum is that I don't believe loving in a vacuum is actually loving. Like, I don't believe that if you just are completely obsessed with somebody and you internalize everything, I think that's more obsession or infatuation than it is genuine love. I think real love needs to be expressed and shared with people, and you need to see it in the real world. I think a lot about relationships, and when somebody gets into a relationship, for a little while, they tend to just be infatuated and obsessed with the person. We've all had a friend who got into a relationship and you didn't see them for like a month or 2 months or 6 months, or you still haven't seen them. And I think unfortunately it's quite common because, you connect with somebody and you're like, oh my gosh. And so then you kind of change your life and you kind of work around their schedule. You want to see them every available moment. You're spending time together. Maybe you move in really quickly and you start living together. And at some point, that all breaks, right? Like, at some point, that level of obsession and that level of loving in a vacuum breaks. And I don't think it's long-term sustainable. I don't think you can point to many relationships where a couple gets together and they both drop all of their friends. They both stop seeing, they both break their routines. They do, it doesn't tend to work. We tend to find roadblocks or stumbling moments, and you hit a big enough one of those when you're in that vacuum of love, and it just all blows up. It just doesn't square properly. And so, of course, the solution to this is to have a love that, you still have your own life. You still have your own preferences and experiences and, your desires, your wants. it's okay to like different pizza flavors, and it's okay to, do different things. If I go to the gym in the morning and you want to go in the afternoon, we should be able to do that. We should be able to exist not in that vacuum, but in the real world, in these practical things. And you might be wondering, like, why is Jax talking about this? Because I think it's one of those things where, especially when you're young, your first relationship is sort of all encompassing, and you tend to lose friends or stop talking to friends, and change who you are. And although having someone that you love, naturally it's going to change who you are a little bit, and you're going to figure out things about yourself you didn't know before, you should still be you, right? You shouldn't actually change yourself that much. The reason this person has become interested in you is because you were already an interesting and thoughtful human being. There shouldn't be much need for adjustment, unless it's in the gradual progression of who you are as a person. If you're trying to get better at something and you get into a relationship, it's okay to still try and get better at something. But what it's not okay to do is to get into a relationship and decide, oh, well, they don't really like my archery stuff, so I'm not going to do that anymore. That was dumb. They don't like it. That's not the way to be. That is trying to love in a vacuum, and that is trying to be perfect and to mold yourself even more perfectly to the person. And that doesn't work, because people don't like that. Your partner, who you're trying to change for, is going to wake up one day and just not know who you are. And maybe you don't know who they are because they're doing the same thing, right? And so really, I guess what I'm talking about is the difference between infatuation and love, and how I think it's really damaging, and it's a learning process. Like it's almost like you have to try this once in order to realize that it doesn't work. But infatuation and obsession don't last long term unless you are incredibly manipulative and you're able to keep up the whole facade for years, which you do hear about that happening, and that's kind of a scary thought on itself. But the idea that I will be their partner, I will be their perfect person, no, no, you're not. Like, it's okay to talk to your friends and family. It's okay to do the things that you like. If something you do is really messing with your relationship and your partner's like, I really don't like it when you do this, there can be a conversation there, but it should be more compromised than them riding roughshod over you, or you doing the same thing and saying, like, I hate the fact that you do this. It's like, okay, this is like a serious dilemma or a divide that we both can't get over. Neither of us are willing to cross it, and we can't meet in the middle. So, and I've seen so many relationships where somebody gets just infatuated and it doesn't end well. It doesn't end in a good situation. Usually it's a heartbreak. Usually it's toxic breakups. And you shouldn't do it, and I think we all innately know that we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't obsess, and we shouldn't, try and love in a vacuum without any kind of periphery, because it cannot just be two people. And I think that's one of the nice things that you learn about as you go on in life and relationships, is that, some of my favorite parts of being in a relationship are hanging out with my partner's family, hanging out with my partner's friends, getting to explore new television shows, new places that they eat, restaurants, activities. Like, one of the best parts of being in a relationship is not the other person. It's everything connected to the other person. And I think we're very quick to, repel against that and just say, no, it's me and the other person. That's it. That's all that matters. Nothing else. Like, my family doesn't matter. His family doesn't matter. I'm going to mold myself to who he is and what he does, and will be there forever. No. Some of the best parts of a relationship are the connections that you both end up forming, and the connections that you both have already established, whether it's a hobby, a person, family, friends, preferences, all kinds of things like that. I have learned so much from my partners and from, what they bring to the table, And I would like to think that I did the same. I had the same impact on them, you know? And I guess that's at the root of what I'm trying to say, is that every aspect should be embraced. It shouldn't just be these handful of traits that you think are really attractive or that you think make the relationship what it is. There should be a holistic approach to a relationship where, oh man, you know, his mom is so nice, you know, she bakes me cool food, and you know, I've never met a person like her either, and it's just amazing that, you know, she's connected to this guy that I've fallen in love with. Like that is pure. That is true love. That is fantastic. What isn't true love is, you know, never leaving the house, just being obsessed with the one person, and never truly embracing all the aspects of who they are, and never letting them embrace it. You know, if you prevent your partner from doing things that he likes, that don't interfere with, you know, what you're doing, it's not like he's like sleeping with another person or something, but if you're interfering with that, or you feel your partner is interfering with how you live your life, that's a real problem. You know, you've got to communicate. You've got to open up that divide and build a bridge to meet in the middle. There is really no other way to get around it or to get to it. So that is today's thought of the day. Love should be everywhere. It shouldn't just be in this confined space that you've created with your partner, like this vacuum, this thing where it's just you and them. It should be this all-encompassing, holistic thing that can function in the real world, because at the end of the day, your partner needs to function in the real world just like you do. Okay, now I'm actually done. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think of this whole concept, the idea of, you know, just being isolated? That's what I think of it. I think of it as just isolation. It's not love. It's just being isolated with somebody. It's being in quarantine with somebody. So let me know what you think. And as always, I hope you're having an amazing day, week, month, year, century, whatever you're having. I hope it's amazing. And as always, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.